So join us as we dive into this week's mess.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to It's a Messis, my favorite podcast. I'm just working through the mess, and I am so glad you came back to hang out with us again.
Hey, everybody, I'm Rena. I am also your host, and I'm just glad we're back.
Yes.
We're back before we leave again, but let's stay in the present because we're back now.
We're back and we're better. Yeah.
Yeah, every day we're getting better. So yeah, in that context, yes, better.
Absolutely. You guys are joining us for episode 90. Is weird the new normal? And I'm looking forward to this one. This is going to be like, I feel like a really fun topic. But before we do, we have a little segment called What's the Mess? So I'm going to ask Rena, what's your mess?
Oh man. So, I usually like to try to come on here and be Why are you laughing?
I didn't laugh.
There was like a little giggle. There was a little
Oh, I was just waiting. I was like, where's this going? Sorry.
Okay.
Probably my anxiety.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'll take that. I try not to come on here and, kind of be like a Debbie Downer, but fuck it. Like,
yeah, period.
If I'm being down, I've just, my ego has just been taking a few hits lately, just, right? A few blows lately. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm breathing through it. Okay. So that's the upside of it. Like I'm aware and I'm just like, you know what? It's okay. It happens. Let's extract, the lesson from it and then keep it pushing. Like today, I just saw two women and I'm happy for them, but one was like driving in this blacked out Bronco with the top missing. Ooh. And I'm like, that is my dream. And she's just driving through the streets. I'm off just walking.
It's the I'm on foot part.
I'm on foot. And then there's another lady who's like in this Volkswagen Beetle, which I used to have. Okay. With the top also missing, just a blasted some trap and just living her best life. And I'm like, when will that be me? Yeah, I'm just in this. I don't know. Lately, I've just been feeling like, damn, like I feel like I'm trying not to compare myself, but I've been doing this thing where I've been comparing myself.
Yeah, it's hard sometimes. It's hard. Is it the materialistic nature of it, or you felt like they have my actual dream, which is this car, or was it the carefree nature of the top missing? Because both of them top missing, I guess the air's blowing, the music's pumping. What is it that you were like, when will that be me? What was the that
when will I feel comfortable enough to go buy the Bronco or at least get the goddamn Beetle back?
Okay.
And like, when will I have my carefree, scalp blowing in the wind moment?
Come on, scalp blowing in the wind. You're so dumb. You are so dumb. Okay.
Like, when will that be me? Like, when will I? And I assume so much in that like split second that this lady is passing by. I'm assuming that she has no worries, that she's not in debt, like that she's paid for. She's living her best life, and I'm just on foot,
right? Right. And what if she was looking at you like, look at her just enjoying a stroll and leisurely walking? She don't know shit about you either. She's like, she don't even have the debt that I have with this car. She didn't have to get it fixed last week and dip into her savings. I'm gonna just up and blast my sorrows away. We don't know what other people have going on. You know what I mean? Other people looking at you with the same envious ideas of what your life is. And that's why it's so important to make your life good for you.
You're absolutely right. No, I needed to hear that. You are 100% right. That's why I bring my mess here, to get it cleaned up.
I know that's right. I know that's right.
So thank you for that.
But I feel you though. It's difficult. We want to be these objects of just, I don't envy anyone. I'm perfectly content in my life. But sometimes it's difficult, especially if you see somebody in your dream car. Or your dream house, or your dream relationship, or they feel so confident in their body, in a body that looks like yours, and you're like, how are they that confident in that body? And I got the same body and I don't feel that way, or whatever it is. So it's understandable, but it's definitely like an effort and an energy you have to put in to your own life so that it does feel that way for you.
Yeah. I got you just go out and just go get the Bronco, and then we could
I was thinking that. That ain't shit. You lose it in death.
Lose what, the money or lose
the
the car from repossession?
Or that, but at least you had it for a couple of weeks.
Damn,
Look at your bad habits.
A couple of weeks.
I mean, that's all these weeks is a whole year ain't nothing but a handful of weeks. You know,
I mean, you're right. You're right.
A handful of weeks every month.
You know, and I know I will. I'm on track towards the Bronco. Like I will get this. I know there's some things I need to do, you know, beforehand.
In the meantime,
but you know, you're right. It's a me problem. I need to not compare, you know, and I need to just kind of, you know, build the path that works for me.
Yeah.
You know, and walk along my path, stay in my lane, stay in my lane.
Absolutely. Stay in your lane. And then carve out the happiness that I feel like you feel like she's achieving. That's what I try. Like in my life, like I can definitely compare. I definitely could. Especially as our age range, the people around us doing better and better financially. When I think about my best friends, they're doing well financially in different areas. And, you know, that's not my life right now. What I'm carving out, though, is the feeling that I feel like they feel. Because it's never for real the comparison. It's never really like tit for tat. It's like, like you said, oh, I feel like she's debt free and carefree and this and this and this. It wasn't even the car. It's the feeling you feel like she felt. And it's like, make the feeling for yourself. It may not look like the Bronco, but you can still have that level of carefree and happy and in love with like where life is. It's possible. It's doable, especially if you don't compare. Because what if that ain't even her dream car? What if she just like,
they give it to me.
Oh, wait. Oh, wait.
Get out.
Get out of it. And you walk, bitch. You got issues. But that is a mess and it's understandable. And I think it's fair to talk about. I'm glad we continue to talk about real shit on here that, you know, as many years as we've been doing this, shit still be a mess.
Yeah, it's a mess. Like, honestly, to be alive is to be a mess.
It's messy. It's a messy existing.
Yeah. And if you don't have any mess, I'm kind of like, you okay?
Everything all right?
You know, it's just everything's just perfect.
Wow. Interesting. Sounds boring.
Suspicious.
Not suspicious.
but yeah, you know, so that's what I'm gonna come on here with my mess, you know, because I'm not the only person who feels this way. You never know, you know, like, my ego's been taking a bruising, you know, like I'm getting cooked out here ego-wise. But it's okay.
But ego death leads to so many other growths. The death of the ego leads to beautiful aftermath. It burns and it hurts and it's not easy, but oftentimes it's leading you to a place of abundance, you know, in whatever aspect.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
So, you know, okay, these licks could amount to something. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Absolutely.
All right. I'm gonna take it that way. I'm gonna take that approach.
Absolutely. That is a messy mess though.
But what about you? What's your mess?
My mess, first the positive. Well, it's all, I guess, positive, but I filmed a short film last week.
Okay.
And it was fucking incredible. It was incredible to realize that because I wrote something, now there's something coming to life in reality. Like I brought it out of my head into the world. To also have so many people willing to jump in, because most of the people that came were just volunteers. You know, I had people who filmed it, people who directed it, people who were the AD, people who were production management, who's, you know, whatever, all these things. And just to see these group of people come together and say, yeah, I got you. I'm going to work on this. I'm going to give my energy. It was 2 days of filming. That's all day. I had extras that came in and just gave their time and their energy to this project from a thought in my head. And so I felt incredibly blessed. I felt incredibly lucky. There were some days where I was like, oh my God, I have to feed all these people. Because like, even when you don't have money, it's a small project, you still need to feed your cast, especially on days where they're there all day. So I had to calculate crafty, which is just the snacks that you just go grab and eat and all this stuff. And then I calculated a meal to get everybody in. And so it's been it's really eye-opening. and it was very exciting, and it's been filmed now. And so now all we're waiting on is like the editing process, and like I'll have to get a colorist because of the type of film that it is. Also, there was one of the people who was working on it was a producer for other things. He's actually a producer for Peacock. And one of his friends is trying to get into the production Guild of America or something like that, and offered to put some money toward me getting an editor.
Oh, like,
wow. Right. It was just like phenomenal. And I was like, God, you really be looking out. And it was crazy because
I told you that.
Yeah, you did. And sometimes you have to hear it over and over and then just experience it. But I really sat in the gratitude of that, of just being like, wow, you really got me out here. Like, I'm putting my best foot forward and I'm leaping into an unknown, and there's a safety net, and there's something's going to catch me, and I'm just going to keep jumping. I'm going to keep leaping because I keep continuing to be taken care of. And so I don't know, that was really, I love that. Really beautiful. Yeah.
Like, I want to run that back. I'm going to keep jumping. I'm going to keep leaping because I know I'm being taken care of.
Yeah. I'm having to sit with it because it's so easy for us to live in fear and live in, apprehension of the unknown, and just taking these leaps and being taken care of is like, wow, I keep being surprised, but I sit in the gratitude every single time. Just like, you know what? I see that this is you. This is not me. I didn't make this happen on my own, and I'm grateful. I am beyond grateful. You know what I mean? So that's some of the like really great things that have been happening. And so the little bit more messier side is that I'm going into surgery Friday morning. Mm-hmm. And that's also a lot of blessings around that too. I have my friend here who's coming to stay and take care of me, which I'm just like, honestly, I feel like I would be a wreck if she wasn't here. Mm-hmm. So I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm going to take Thursday off. We're going to go to the beach, have a really great day. And then, I'll go into surgery on Friday. So if you're listening, you'll be listening to this on Thursday. So please send your prayers. If you want to send some get well funds, hit my DM. I'll give you my Cash App because your girl going to be down and out for about 4 to 6 weeks, not working. So that I've done some things to kind of lessen the blow. But yeah, if you're like, yo, that's my nigga, I want to help her out, hit me up. I'll put the stuff in there so you can send your or whatever cards or whatever. If you want to send your well wishes, I would appreciate them greatly. But yeah, so that's my mess. Lots of things happening all at once in the world. So yeah, that's everything.
And that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And we'll definitely keep us updated on when we can see this short.
Yeah.
And how we can support.
Yes.
And then also how we can support you and just your recovery and your healing. As we allow time for you to do that.
Yes.
So it's beautiful. It's beautiful all around.
Yeah, thank you. So that is the end of our segment about the mess. We are on episode 90, if you'll remember. It's called Is Weird the New Normal? Now, why are we choosing this topic, Rena? What was the reason for this?
So this was my topic because I am weird.
What?
And it's, I know, it's shocking, right?
Shock.
Right. No one would ever assume.
I would have never guessed.
But it's something that I've been called by my own family, looks I've gathered from peers, it's just a feeling and an essence I carry around, the weird. And, I want to look at it in its eyes and see what's really good with it, like, well, what is this?
Yo, weird, what's good? Like, yo, Miley, what's good? So corny. I can't.
Yeah. I know.
Yes, I know. That's hilarious.
So why did you agree?
I was so excited when you said this because I live in weird land. Like my head is a very weird place. And I think because I enjoy it and I've embraced what it is to be weird is why I can live authentically in myself, because I don't have an expectation necessarily that I'm going to fit in with anyone in the world. And when I do find kindred spirits, it's like, yay, but it's not necessarily like a expectation that I'm going to necessarily fit in, or that the thoughts that I have, or the feelings that I feel, or the actions that I take, or the loudness that I have no expectation that this will be well accepted in the atmosphere. So I was excited to explore it, because I feel like the more we talk about what weird is and what that looks like, the more people can actually settle into their own level and brand of weird. Maybe we'll get to some place of like healing for people. Like, you don't have to be like all the rest of these niggas, you know? So I am really looking forward to this topic. And why don't we let the people know what the agenda is for the episode?
So as always, our agenda is to dig it down. And that stands for define, impact, cope. So in this episode, we're going to have a conversation about being weird. We're going to debunk it, break it down, dig it down, do what we do. So that means we're going to define it. We're going to discuss the impact of being weird in our lives, the term weird, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the weird of it all. And then we round it out with how we cope. We make each section clearly known. So you hear Jess most likely say, okay, we're at the definition, or we're at the cope, wherever we are, so that you can follow along and have this conversation with us, with others, with yourself. So feel free to pause wherever you see fit. Give yourself time to write, journal, reflect, or just keep listening. Just do what works for you. And if you vibe, then we tribe.
Absolutely. I kind of got a little off on that one, but it's been a while. Y'all give us a break. If you vibe, we tribe. You understand. I'm trying, y'all. But we are now to the definition. Okay. And so our girl Google says that being weird is unusual.
That's it.
There was more things, but I like that little bit. I like that little bit because I do feel like that's what it is. You know, we're all grown up in different cultures, right? And in your culture, this is the norm. And to be outside of that is unusual and what you are considered weird. You know, back in the day, it was the Black kids like an anime. Or, you know, you talking very properly would be considered whatever outside of Black culture, at least back in the day. Now I guess it's more normalized. Everybody realizes that was some bullshit. But back in the day, there were a lot of things that were considered outside the culture that would have gotten you considered to be weird. And so that's why I like that definition of unusual. And I think for me, I don't know that I really realized until I was much older how weird I actually am and was, because my entire family is weird.
Okay, so I read the definition or read an impact?
Oh, that was a definition. I wasn't saying the impact yet. I was just saying I define myself as weird, but not until I got older. I guess I'll wait to say more because, you know, Rena has stopped me. I'll get into the impact. No. I don't want to confuse anyone. So clearly I will wait to continue my diatribe until we get into the impact of it all. So tell us, Rena, what is your definition of weird?
Okay. Well, weird.
that was the definition of fucking weird. What was that? I'll just play. Okay, go ahead.
So weird to me is like that saying, something here is not quite like the others.
Oh, yeah.
That's weird to me. It's being unusual. Actually, use the same word as Google. Nice. So, you know, we're aligned. And on the outside of what society calls normal. So that's it. That's my definition.
Period. And now we're to the impact, and Rena's gonna let me talk. That's so nice. So kind of you, Rena.
Yes, continue.
Okay. So as I was saying before in the wrong part,
and it was. Thank you for acknowledging.
Oh, whatever. My family was all a little bit, you know, odd. But when you grow up in such a thing, you think that's the norm. So I got in the world and I was like, y'all are fucking weird. And I thought that, and I still think that, if I'm honest, but I recognize that in truth, my family was probably the more odd of the thing because everybody else is kind of like this certain way. And this goes to like just there's just a general goofiness that was in my household. Like there was a general like loudness. And some of this is probably also attributed to ADHD characteristics that my mom and probably my father had. Like, you know, so there was a lot of talking. I remember a cousin of ours had came to visit us, and there were like 4 conversations happening. It was like me, my little brother, me, my older brother, me and my mom, and then the full family conversation. And my cousin was sitting in the middle. She was like, oh my God. She was like overwhelmed because it was just, you know, and that's just how we were just like, no, da, 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 but just, da, da, da. Like, you know, it was just how we were. It's just how we were. And I tell my niece and nephew all the time that they're weird because I want them to know.
Okay.
Like, I have always taken being weird as a badge of honor because I find sameness to be boring.
Okay.
And so the impact is that there were a lot of years, I guess, if I'm honest, once I started realizing that it was just a little bit odd, and there were the conversations about like, so my weirdness, I think, presents in like how goofy I am, how loud I am, some of the ways that I think about things. You know, my mom was like a very balanced person. Like she would always try to find the good in things and whatever. And so I was that very much that person. And that was like odd, especially growing up. It's like, I wasn't looking for trouble. I would be like, well, no, let's look at it this way. But it would come off like I'm too good or something. And it's like, no, that's not how I think of myself. You know what I mean? Or I was too loud. It's like, damn, you're really loud. It's like, oh, I didn't realize, you know? So the impact, I think, was that I don't know that I lessened myself, but in certain instances, I lessened myself.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I get, yeah.
Are you confused?
No, I'm not confused. So in certain instances, because of like your upbringing and kind of knowing that you were weird, and then comparing that to what you saw like outside in the community, you kind of, you know, say, let me dial it back a bit because it seems like, you know, something here is not quite the same. Like, you know,
it's me.
Okay.
I'm like, oh, hi, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me. Yeah. Oh no, you don't know that Instagram audio?
No.
Looking me crazy. Okay. Well,
yeah. I was like,
sorry.
Okay, you made up that song for yourself. That's weird.
I'm fucking weak. But yeah, no, it was definitely a slow process to awakening. Because, you know, as kids are kind of loud, and kids are kind of obnoxious and kind of
they're weird.
You know, they're weird. Kids are weird.
Yeah, because they haven't learned all of society's conditioning.
Exactly. Yeah. And so because I didn't have to go home and be conditioned, it took me a while to realize that everybody's growing out of this weirdness, and it's still who I actually am.
Because you're only getting like part-time conditioning. Like people are getting it at home and at school. And you're like just only at school.
And home is real life. School is fake life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that wasn't real. And I was
so
just
like home wasn't reinforcing school.
Right.
Like school is such an odd place.
I mean, you know, I actually really enjoyed school. I mean, and I enjoyed all those things, but it was like, it's like going, I don't know. It just wasn't like, I didn't have to, what are the words I'm looking for? I did math a lot in school.
Yeah.
Of like, I know I can't be, and I would also get like in trouble a lot because I made really good grades, so that was never the issue. But I talked a lot, and that was always on my report card. So it was very much like a understanding. But even with that, my mom was like, "This was the same that I did is in school, and so just try your best."
Oh,
like you know what I mean? Like, so it was still to me like, oh, this is normal, but this is what they want. Like, I'll do what they want because my mom asked me, but it's normal because my mom did it. Like, you know, so I knew that in school I needed to do this thing. So I was like, okay, I'll do this thing. But then like, this is real life. Like I get to go home and be like real.
So it's not, so you're like, yeah, I'm gonna go and do what the school asked me to do. Not because it's right, but just because they asked me. And like, you know, you kind of, you listen to them because they're school. But that's not the only way to be. Like your mom kind of left space for you to still, talk and be yourself. Like it wasn't like you came home and it's like, look, this is the fourth time I seen this shit.
And you better not be talking no more when your teacher's talking. And it was never that.
Right.
It was never that.
Who you got to talk to more than the teacher?
Right. It wasn't that because she knew herself as weird.
Okay.
In so many words.
She just knew y'all would be that way. So
why wouldn't we be?
Right. It would be odd. It would be weird if y'all like
if we did normal. What? Wow. Fuck you, Rita. Damn. It would have been weird though. So I didn't until I was older, and now it's my peers. Because when you're younger, your classmates want to talk, and it's not, like I said, you're not so odd when you're younger because everybody's kind of not been formed into these shapeless blobs yet. That's the norm. Then they grow out of it because their parents and the teachers and everybody's telling them you can't be this way.
Yeah.
And my mom's like, I hear them and they're right to some degree, Tootie, but like, just try your best because I'm not gonna punish you because this is how I was in school. And da 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 da. So there was no punishment attached to me being myself. It wasn't until I got older and like peers are starting to be like, whoa. And I'm like, oh wow.
So your peers then turned on you and reinforced that and was kind of like, you ain't supposed to be doing that.
Like, you're too loud. Like, and nobody ever said it in those words.
Nietzsche does.
You're doing this. I'm gonna need you to do this. Yeah. And even like I sing a lot and I sing all the time. And there would always be like little comments. Are you always trying to sing so good? And da 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 da. Like just all these like little comments from your peers that are like, all right, this is a thing. But in my house, singing
was normal.
And even mandated. No, I'm just playing, not mandated, but like
sing for your dinner.
Imagine. But no, maybe not quite like that, but it was just more so appreciated. I would say appreciated versus mandated. That was the wrong terminology. But
I was really imagining like you guys having like a sing-off, like
the Van Trump family,
like making the band. No, like
oh my God, who gets the last piece of chicken? Well, you were a little flat. You're eliminated. That'd be wild.
You're having sleep for dinner. Work on those notes.
Yeah. I think that it is my favorite though, because it reminds me of my family. Just how weird I am. Like I rest in the knowledge of like my familial unit. As an adult, I would still fit in to that familial unit. Just very weird. Even when I get with my siblings, you've seen us.
Yeah.
We're a strange bunch. Not really.
I mean, I would say you're probably the strangest of them all, but
that's true.
But that's true. I don't know. I wouldn't register it as strange. I just feel like you guys have like a tight knit, like you have a way that you guys interact with each other. And I just took it as, y'all are siblings. It's how y'all grew up. This is what y'all do. I wouldn't say it's odd.
Have you hung out with other siblings?
I have.
And they act like us?
Everybody has their thing.
So everybody
yeah, I think honestly, and that's kind of like my whole impact. But
okay, let me hear it.
So my impact, like the kicker for me is I don't really like normal.
What does that mean?
Like I don't vibe with it. I don't think it's the point of life. I don't want to be normal. I want to be me. And I feel like we're all different. Mm-hmm. And I feel like this idea of normal forces us into this sameness. And when you want to like stretch or expand or show up fully, you kind of like you kind of burst out of the box.
Okay.
Or you're like confined to this box and you make it really uncomfortable for everybody else around you because now you're a different shape.
Right.
Now you don't fit neatly in the box.
Right.
And then you're looked upon as weird. It's like, why are you doing all of that?
Mm-hmm.
And like that's what I think of when I think of being normal.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt odd. I felt odd my whole life or weird. Why? Because I felt like I just didn't understand this like all the rules and the regulations and the guidelines, the policing of oneself. I didn't get it.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, this is the right thing to say. Like I was that kid that talked a lot and I got that comment a lot. I did. And I was the kid who kind of would like just say things like, you know, I would pick up things that I heard and then I would use them in the proper context. So I remember going to, and I may have told the story before, but I remember going to like Macy's, I think, or maybe Hex, like back in the day.
What's that? A department store?
It used to be a department store.
Damn, tell your age.
Right? Oh my gosh, I've had a moment. And I went with my grandmother and the lady was just rude. She's just really rude to my grandmother. And I just turned to my grandmother, I think I'm like 4. And I'm like, that lady needs an attitude adjustment, you know? And my grandmother burst out laughing. She told everybody this story and I didn't think anything of it. I'm like, it's true. She needs an attitude adjustment. And they're like, where did you even learn that? Like what? You know, so
where did you hear that to know how to use it?
Right. But then also there was also this like, I don't know where I picked it up from. Probably my mom. You know, you think kids aren't listening. And she probably was talking about somebody. And I was like, I'm gonna use that. You know?
I'm gonna use that.
But then there was also this kind of like this undercurrent of like, you shouldn't say that though.
Oh.
You know,
because you're a kid?
Out loud. You should say because you're a kid.
Oh, but these are unspoken things.
I think they probably told me like, yeah, that's cute that she said that, that's funny, but you really shouldn't say those things like about adults, you know? And I'm just kind of like, okay, you know? So I just always felt like I was always asking questions or like just saying things that people have always kind of been like, you shouldn't ask that. Or why are you asking that?
Right.
You know? And then I'll just get to the point where I'm just like, you know, you get those odd looks. And people it's always the same, like, did I do something wrong here?
Yeah.
You know, whenever your parent looks at you, they're just like,
they're like, what did I go wrong in your rearing?
Yeah, they're like, where you get that from? Where you get that?
Yeah.
I got a lot of looks.
Were you ever, so to me, it sounds like the adults in your life made you feel odd for being so inquisitive and being so in tune with the things that were happening around you. Was that the main source of feeling odd, or did you feel like your peers were included in that?
I think my peers were also included in that. So I also had the very odd experience of living in other countries.
Oh, right.
I was weird already. Like when I lived in Southeast DC and I went to Magogny Elementary, I was already weird.
Shout out.
I was already weird. I was already kind of like off to the side a little bit. Like I was socializing everything, but like I can't really say I was like, I really played with the kids. I kind of played by myself. And then I told you the whole thing about me becoming a peer mediator. That doesn't help you really make friends.
I was also a peer mediator. Oh my God. And a crossing guard.
Yeah, like
or what was it, the hall monitor? Just lame.
Right, yeah. Dang. Like, you know, the other kids are playing and then getting into debauchery, and I had a job every day, you know?
That's so true. Come on, job.
You know, so like I just felt like, I don't know, I didn't really understand like what was going on in the hood, even though like I lived in the hood. Like I didn't understand the ways. Like I would do simple stuff. Like I remember one time, like I would always run home. Like I was riding my bike.
Run home.
And I like fell, right? I hit a curb and I fell. I just left the bike.
Oh my God.
I left the bike and I just ran home. And my mother's like, what's wrong? I was like, I fell off my bike. And she's like, where is your bike? I was like, I left it. She's like, if you don't go back, get your goddamn bike.
Was it there?
It was there, shockingly. But
hell no.
But I would do stuff like that. Or like the kids, like I just didn't really understand like the interactions. Like they just seemed like they were a lot more street smart than me. And I just didn't get it. I'm like, why are we fighting? Why are we angry right now?
Yeah.
Why are these older girls like surrounding me like shark in water? Like because I'm on this swing. Like what's happening? Like you know, I always had this. I always felt like I was like, what's happening?
Right.
And then when I would ask what's happening, they're like, you're weird. Like, because I don't know. Because I don't know.
Do you feel like the weirdness is attributed to any things that you have not been diagnosed with?
Possibly.
I'd be curious about that too.
I mean, it could be. That's very possible. I have no idea. probably like ADHD, but anything beyond that, I don't really know if that would have an impact. I think I was just this kid I just had a really vivid imagination. Mm-hmm. And I was just always like in my head, you know, and then when I would kind of snap back into my body, I didn't know what the hell was going on, you know?
Interesting.
So I don't know what that is or what diagnosis that would give me. Right. Or why I did that, but I think I was just always just really content to just sit there and just imagine to myself. And then when I wasn't imagining, I was just talking nonstop to people. I don't know how I got the grades I got. Maybe I was bored. Maybe I needed to be more challenged. I don't know. Yeah. That's also didn't understand the point of even doing half the work I was doing.
Agreed. Because we're not even using it now.
Right.
I do think being weird, a lot of those things that I attributed to weirdness probably is attributed to ADHD or some other, thing. Thinking about back to my mom, I'm like, definitely you had some ADHD qualities now that I'm learning more about it. And I do think about what the impact would have been if I had been I guess diagnosed and understood that. I mean, I don't know that I would want anything to be different in my life because I'm very content with the way that I process things, the way that I see things, the way that I don't mind being set apart from others. I think that's the impact too, is that I don't mind being like, I don't agree, or I don't mind being like, I will do this alone because everybody else don't want to. And like, there's nothing wrong with being normal, quote unquote, or being in the majority of something. Because I do feel like for a lot of stuff, I am normal, for lack of a better word, or average, or I fit in with the group. And I think that that's, okay. But I think, the impact of it when I was younger was that I let it, I don't know if I'm moving to the code when I say this, but the impact when I was younger was letting it dampen me a little.
Yeah.
It dampened a lot of the excitement, the fervor. Because I remember even in college, like I've been weird for a long time. In college, I got to campus and I was so excited. And I don't know how they do it now because it's been eons since I've been in school. But the freshmen come first. Don't talk about like you agree. She said, "You old bitch." I'm just kidding. How she said it, the shoe fit like that bitch up. But I remember in college, the freshmen came first, right? So we were all gathered and hanging out and stuff. And then they were going to have this like movie night type thing once the upperclassmen got in. And I'm very excitable. I think that's the other thing that I recognize as like an oddity for myself that was like okay in my family. But in the world, people don't be that excited, or they don't express it in the way that I do. And so I got to college and the upperclassmen were in, and I went to a predominantly white school. So we had the whatever, like gathering movie night. I can't remember exactly what it was. I remember there being food and a screen. So I think it was a movie night. So I went up to this Black girl and I was like, "Oh my God, my name is blah, blah. I'm so excited to meet you." And she was like, "Oh, you must be a freshman." And I was like, "Oh." And from that moment on in college, my excitement was like, I just was like, oh, okay, this is not that kind of place. Got it. And it was like those kind of moments throughout my life. I would be this like, yeah, somebody be like, ooh, bring it down. And I'd be like, that's not what we are. And I don't know that I did internalize it to some degree, but for the most part, I was just like, y'all are that, so I'm not gonna do that here. I don't know. And in my head, I was like, I'm not lessening myself. I'm just trying to be comfortable out here. I still feel like it's cool to be excitable, but I'm not gonna do it here. You know what I mean? Type shit.
Right. And that's the whole thing with normal for me. Mm-hmm. Well, I feel like this pursuit of being normal, it just really it robs you of the full experience of life. Like we said, like little kids are weird. But have you ever seen like a little kid laugh at something that they thought was so funny and you did not think it was funny? But it like just rips, it just erupts and it just breaks through their whole little bodies. And it's the most shrill laugh. And it looks like it almost looks like they're on a high. They're just they're like, ah! And you're just like, are you okay? And they're like, I'm just happy.
You look just like a little kid. I'm just happy.
That's
funny.
You're like, that's so funny. And we're like,
okay.
Right?
Yeah.
But like, I just feel like when we are all trying to be normal in this conventional way that everybody understands, it takes that height
Joy.
of excitement. Yeah. And you're forced to mask, not all the time, but some of the time, like, I think that's been the biggest impact of the word weird for me, because when it was used, it wasn't used as we're weird, we're eclectic, we're creative. Yay. It was more like you're
strange.
odd.
Mm-hmm.
You're like,
and you should feel bad about it.
Right. Like, how do I fix this? Where did I go wrong? And I'm like, oh, just because I'm kind of like in my own little world. And, it robs me of the opportunity and other people the opportunity to cultivate that, to see what that weirdness could be, because for me, like, that weirdness is it's who you really are. Yeah. Like, we're conditioned to be normal, but I feel like we're naturally weird. Yeah. Like, because there are things that people do that I think are weird, just because, like, I just naturally wouldn't do that. Right. But just because I think it's weird, I don't say it to like judge them and say they should stop doing it. I'm just kind of like, I wouldn't have thought to do that. Right. Like, that's just not my experience. So, I'm at this point now where I want to be more weird. Like, I feel like I've been robbed of my weirdness. And I feel like weirdness is that light. That's that thing that makes you special. It's that thing that lights you up. Not only lights you up for you and then for other people to see that. And I feel like I am trying to find my weird now. Yeah. I had it at one point in time, and I was magnificent as a kid. Yeah. And then I started to I had to work really hard at this conditioning, because being weird is not helping me in any of these countries, and especially in America. Right. Right. Every time I would come back to the US, because I grew up, traveling overseas, and, I felt weird and out of place just because I didn't see anybody like me. Of course. But then when I would come back to the States, people who looked like me didn't have the experiences that I had. Yeah. And then that made me feel even more othered. Oh, yeah. I can imagine. And the things that you absorb as a child, it's different from what you absorb as, an adult. So even I'm even odd to my mother, because she's like, you're picking up all of this stuff. Right. But you're more closed off when you're an adult experiencing something new. Absolutely. So now I'm like, well, what was the point of me going through all of that and having that type of life if I can't access that weird? Right. Like, if I can't use it, and I can't rest in it and thrive in it. I want the opposite. Like, I feel right now that I look normal, but I feel weird. I feel weird inside. And I'm like, I want to flip that. Like, I want to feel normal, because my weird is when I felt normal. When everybody was telling me I was weird, that's when I felt normal. Okay. And now that everybody's like, yeah, you're normal. I'm like, this feels so odd. Yeah. I'm so uneasy. I am not at rest. Like, what is this? Know? Because that weird, that's my light. That was my purpose. It's what sets me apart. And now you've set me apart from my weird. Exactly. Damn, that's real shit. Yeah, I don't want to be normal anymore. I'm tired. Like, I'm just so tired of making other people more comfortable at the expense of myself. Like, let me out this stupid ass box. Right. I want full expansion of self. Let me out this dumbass box. No, I was saying that's real shit, because, we get so conditioned to be comfortable, to make other people comfortable. We're so conditioned to make other people comfortable, but now we're uncomfortable. And now we're anxious about being in spaces. And now we're, smaller than we want to be, or we dream less than what we would have dreamed. Like, people be trying to small you, dim you, make you fit. I don't fit. And I'm okay with that. I think this is kind of going into the cope, but I like how you said you're going back to your weird, because I feel like that's my thing. Like, that's not to say that I'm not still aware of, I don't have situational awareness, because I think that that's a lot of what comes into play. We've been conditioned to, in church, you're not going to scream out, whatever. You're going to have reverence for this place, or in the library. Those are conditional situations where, yes, I'm weird and maybe I do want to scream, but I know that this is not the necessarily right place for this. But at the same time,
I'm coping by putting myself in situations where I can rest fully in myself, and that's with people, that's with places and with things. I work in a space where I can do what I want. I hang around people where I'm just weird and they know that. Sometimes I'm going to scream. Sometimes I'm going to sing. Sometimes I'm going to be loud as fuck. Sometimes I'm going to laugh crazy about some shit that's super inappropriate. But I cope by creating and cultivating a life that feels safe to be my full self. Yeah. And so that's how I'm coping. What about you? Or were you at the cope? Did I move us to cope before you were ready?
I mean, I did tell them Jessica would let us know, where we are. So I'm just following your lead. But yeah, I could get to the cope. Okay. So I guess the way I'm coping is I just want to practice being weird and unlearn my idea of normal, because I have no idea. I mean, not no idea, like I have no problem with the idea of being respectful and, doing things in order to work well together. Right. Like having like this kind of understanding, this normal practice that works so that we can work together. Right. But I don't want that to be all I am. And I feel like when you're in that box, it's like that's all you could be. You can only stretch to here. Right. You can only stretch in this certain. It's
like the goldfish. When you see goldfish get put into, goldfish are really small, but then they get put into like a stream or a river or something, and they get huge. Right. Not just bigger, they're huge because they're allowed the expansion. They're not put in such a small cage. They're allowed the expansion of their full selves. You see a goldfish that's 1,500 pounds. Okay, I'm exaggerating, but it's like you never would have thought they could get there because they've always been conditioned to be in this little bitty ass.
And that's my point. Like that weird, that's that new, that's that thing that we haven't seen before. By us being so focused on people being normal, like the people who've made history, they were not normal people.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that's how I'm coping. Like, I don't think I was intended to be this normal. I think I'm just a little too normal. I need to amp up the weird. And and be okay with people thinking it's weird. It's what okay.
What are the steps that you're taking to be
That's
weird?
Actually a really good question. I think sitting with myself and just kind of like telling myself the truth, like admitting things to myself. And when people ask questions, because that's a big thing, like people asking questions, so I would always kind of think of how they would want me to respond. But it's like, just tell the truth. Just tell the truth. And just, I've been conditioning myself that way. Like I'll think about like, oh, if I go to like a function at a friend's house, I'm like, oh, like I'll obsess over things like what gift to give someone. Yeah. And then lately I've been like, you know what? I'm going to get the best gift with the best intention. And a friend who's really a friend to me that will allow me to show up as I am, they will be receptive of this. They'll get the intention. They'll feel it. Right. And they wouldn't like get on me because I didn't get them the perfect gift. They would be appreciative of the fact that I presented them with the gift. And I thought about it. I put thought into it. And I got this gift. And why did like all the friends in the room get this person a similar gift? And that just goes to show you like, okay, we're all thinking the same thing. This is what we know of this person. So I'm not like so far off from who this person is. Yeah. So things like that, just tell myself, you know what? If they don't like it, that's okay. Right. Like checking in with my intention. What's your intention by doing this? Okay. I think that's a good intention.
And I think that's actually healthy for things besides gifts. That's in all.
I mean, I do that with everything.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's a really great like soundbite. Like, what is my intention in this? Right. It is not ill-intentioned. I have most positive intentions. And that's not to say that every single time you're going to get it right or it's going to be, appreciated, because it might not. And I think that's the main thing. Another thing too is just recognizing that sitting in your weird is not going to necessarily be everybody like, oh, we love that for you.
Yeah, it's not going to be comfortable all the time.
It's not going to be comfortable.
And that's okay.
Sometimes like, people are going to be like, that you're fucking weird. And it's like, yeah, I guess for this situation in this room, I maybe am. And that's okay. You know what I mean? Resting in the fact that it's okay to be odd. It's okay to be a little bit different. It's okay to be a little bit loud, a little bit quiet. a little bit talkative, a little bit silent, a little bit all of the things. It's okay to be all of those things.
I just had a thought.
Tell me.
The focus has always been on us fitting in the same box as this same shape, right?
Right.
What if we were just allowed to be our natural shape and we all still fit in the goddamn box?
We probably would.
We probably
That's how
would.
the fucking universe works.
Right. And like when you talk about some people who like to talk less, like some people feel like they have to talk all the time because that's normal. It's not normal to just sit back and observe.
Right.
But what if that's your default, then the person who's like trying to hold themselves back from talking all the time, they could talk a little more. Right. You guys are still fitting in the box. You guys don't have to be the exact same to fit in the box.
That's true.
Fuck the box for real though. Also because the box is going to keep us small. Because we want to be the 1,500-pound goldfish, right?
Absolutely.
I hope y'all are following because I know this shit is weird, but you get it. Right? So
Absolutely. It's so interesting because, like I said, I was telling my niece and nephew from when they were young. I'm like, you're such a weirdo. I'm like, y'all such a weirdo. But I say it with such excitement and such joy because I'm glad that they're weird children as well. And I want them to appreciate that. And if anybody ever calls them weird, they have in their core memory that this is a good thing. Like, and I told my nephew actually recently, I was like, it's okay if you're a misfit. Like, you're in a family of misfits, so it works. He was like,
it works.
I understand that. Like, it does. It works. You come from a line of interesting, weird humans. You are also that. It works out for you.
Yeah.
Be proud of the little things, the little nuances that make you, that make you up. Me and my nephew, honestly, sometimes we just make noises. And it's very random. Just very random. I was like, I don't know. I don't have an explanation and I don't care to, but it's fun. And we're just there in our space. There's no rhyme or reason. You know what I mean? Like there's not one needed. But I recognize that that's just a touch odd.
I mean, it is, because if you're in a silent room and then somebody just starts going, and then you look over and they just look, just like, I just felt like making, but I do have that tendency. I do catch myself just like making like noises and kind of like singing or humming or doing something to myself. And I felt like one time I was doing that in my office, and I think this is totally the ADHD. I'm in a shared office and I was kind of like doing some kind of like beatboxing or whatever. And the next thing I know, like my coworker joins in with me and I didn't even realize I was doing it. But it was just this moment where we looked at each other and we just kind of laughed. That is what weirdness does.
Absolutely.
Those moments.
Yeah. It creates a space for them to be their version of weird. Right. And I feel like it's easier to conform.
It is.
Sometimes.
It is like, what's the challenge?
It's easier, but it's not comfortable.
To conform. Yes.
Yeah.
It's comfortable.
It's uncomfortable.
You're assuming it's comfortable for everybody else, but you really don't know.
Right.
But
everybody's struggling to fit in the same box they don't fit in. Like,
right. No, with the same mask on. Everybody has the same mask on. You know how bland that is?
Right.
Like, take that mask off.
Thing.
Right. Yeah. And honestly, the people who are the most successful are the ones who are able to take that mask off at times.
That's very true. I agree. Ooh. I'm so sorry. Y'all, I had a long night. I apologize for yawning in your ear. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I think that's the beauty of weird. It's because you see who people really are. You see those, we're all like little individual snowflakes, right? So you get to see those intricate designs. That's how we were created to be. And like, I want to see that. I don't want to look and see somebody who's just a copy of me and I'm a copy of them. Because then it's like, what's the point in looking?
And then what do you learn?
Yeah, you don't learn anything. You don't expand. You don't, like overall weird isn't a bad thing. I grew up thinking it was a bad thing. You got the privilege of individuality being a good thing.
Yeah.
And that understanding that if people don't like it, that's more on them. Then that's something you should completely get rid of. Maybe be mindful, but don't just completely throw it away.
Right.
And I'm just at this point where like, I want to be weird. And if it isn't hurting others, if it isn't hurting myself, it's good in my book. Like,
I love that.
I'm just gonna be weird because honestly, that's the only way I've gotten through things. At times when things have gotten really hard, I've had to be weird. I've had to be counter to what my mind is telling me or what I've learned, and do the opposite, which is weird.
I think this society does a number on us.
Right. That's why I be trying to go to the forest, man. I be trying to escape
into the forest.
Yes, I'm like, I could be weird out here. Me and my llama,
Wow, where'd the llama come from?
I just feel like a llama would look good in the forest. I don't know what they eat or anything, but I'll Google it before
before you take a llama out to the forest.
Yeah, because
is that even their natural habitat?
I don't know.
Like, that's hilarious.
You're putting too much into it.
You're right. I just was curious if the llama was gonna be okay, but you're right. I think we're to the recap. I know you'll be okay in the forest, but is the llama? I think we're to the recap though. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're there.
I think to recap, it's understandable why we went into the box. But if you allow yourself the expansion, there is an infinite amount of ways you can grow and understand and create. And that is worthwhile. It's worth unpacking the norm. It's worth unpacking the status quo. It's worth settling in and resting in your level of weird. It's worth exploring why you think the way you think. All of it is worth it because in the end, when you can literally say, I do this because I like it, because I want to, because it feels good. Imagine resting in your body the way you want to. Imagine showing up for your friends how you want to. Sometimes we dial ourselves back because the way we love is weird. Oh, I'm too much. Oh, I'm too this. Yeah. Imagine showing up fully in the love that you feel. Imagine showing up fully in the silliness that you feel. Imagine showing up fully in your body and saying, I love this body. Imagine how it will respond to you if you show up fully for yourself. So the recap is unpack that shit and weird the fuck out.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, that's what I'm doing. That's what Rena's doing. And I hope that you guys are unpacking all your shit and weirding it out there. I really do. I'm trying to see some weird people.
Right?
Do you have any shout outs this episode?
Just my usual shout out. Thanks for, listening to us, coming back and listening to us, coming back again when we finally have a new episode a few weeks after we give Jess some time to heal.
Yes.
And that's my main shout out. Shout out to everyone who's supported us at any point in time and continues to do so.
Yeah.
Shout out to you.
Yeah, we're so grateful. We know that you're already a weird munch because you've continued to listen to this weird ass podcast. So shout out to your weird selves. Also, shout out to the people who are uncomfortable in themselves at this moment. And I hope you find your weird. Yes, you were going to say something, Rena.
No, I was just thinking, I was like, weird ass podcast. Like, that'd be a cool name. And then I was like, WAP. And I was like, don't think that's going to work.
It's like us having to dick it down, so it makes perfect sense. WAP and we dick it down. That would be dope as fuck.
So is this sounding like a name change?
It sounded like a name change. We come back as WAP and we dig it down, WAP, and we dig it down. Oh, WAP. We'll see. Y'all will see if we change it up. I don't know. It's a mess is still fond of my heart.
I do.
It let us hear and shit still be a mess even after all these years. So but this, I think we are now to my favorite part, which is the meditation. And if you are new here, what we do is take a couple deep breaths. We set an intention, take another couple breaths, and then we let you go about your day. So what I'd like you to do for me is take a big, deep breath. We'll take a second deep breath. Take one more deep breath. All right. Now we will set an intention. I intend to continue unpacking all the things that I have internalized as normal. I continue to find ways in which I've set myself apart and allow those to be explorations, allow those to be journeys to my full and brighter self.
I love that. It is my intention to reclaim my weird.
I love that so much.
I want it back.
That so much. And so now we'll do one more set of breaths. We'll take another big deep breath. We'll take a second deep breath. And we'll take one last breath. All right. Your intentions have been set for the day. Go out there and flourish. Sis. Today doesn't have to be a mess.
But it's okay if it is.
It sure is, y'all. Thank y'all so much for tuning in again. We appreciate y'all being on this journey with us, this ride with us. Once again, we will take a little break after this one. I'm going to do some healing. We may revamp some things. You never know. We may have some cool things popping out for you. But we are so appreciative of you being along for the ride. If at any point you have a topic idea you would like to discuss with us, please email us at whatsthemesssis@gmail.com. That same email address can be used if you would like to be a guest on the podcast. Again, that's whatsthemesssis@gmail.com. If you happen to be more into social media, we're also on Instagram at It's a Mess Sis Podcast, Facebook at It's a Mess Sis Podcast, Twitter at It's a Mess Sis, and YouTube, It's a Mess Sis. Just search for us to see these beautiful faces. Is there anything else we need to let the people know, Rena?
Nope. Love y'all for real.
We love y'all for real. And we gonna catch y'all on the flip side. Peace. It's a messy. It's a messy.
Hey, that's why I can't sing.
It's okay. He's gonna talk over my singing. Okay, it's ready now.